Today, we're putting it all together, hoping you can score lower, make more birdies, make more eagles, elevation, wind. I'm going to teach you how to approach the greens, set yourself up for success. That's what it's all about. All I ask in return, a little like, a little subscribe. We are in the teens of the guide series. There's pretty much everything you need to know. The live video will come out in time. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. It will come out in time. But before we do that, I just want to start by saying something. Double XP is this week. PGA Tour 2K25 limited time offer. Double XP is this week. And I just want to reiterate, just like I've done in all of the other videos, I do not promote, advocate, and encourage you all to go and put your credit card down and buy VC to make up for the VC issues right now. I know it's hard to have all these attribute points that you are trying to earn and not being able to spend VC. I encourage you to sit back and wait until they resolve these issues, but I also encourage you to play the game. It's a fantastic game outside of the VC issues right now, and exploit the double XP in a good way. Like, play the game a lot. I was getting like 2,000 XP. Get all of these attribute points that you can possibly get during a double XP week like this. And then when hopefully in time, when the VC issues get fixed, you can then apply all of your attribute points. Just make sure you're taking advantage of all those things. I gave a launch day code. I know it's just a marginal amount of VC. There was also, they gave out 1,000 VC the other day if you go in and claim it. Take advantage of those things, and then just take advantage of the double XP right now. Level your player up, and then in time, hopefully the VC issues get fixed and you can apply all of your VC. So just wanted to just cover that again. I know a lot of people are questioning some things, but let's dive on into the video about today. All right, so now let's do this. Let's peel it all back like an onion. And it's going to be a step-by-step process, but just stay with me. There's going to be multiple examples. If you don't get it on the first example, you're going to get it on the future other examples. The biggest issue that I see and I hear about when I run into people who struggle with this game is they get locked in on the pin number and they don't get locked in on a plan according to what they actually see on the green. For example, this pin is 156 yards. They would never zoom in. They would never look at the green. They would just say, all right, 156 yards, up 4 feet into 4 miles an hour. I watched his wind video. I watched his elevation video. I know these numbers. So that's 1 and 6. So that's 7 extra yards. So in order to hit this pin, I just have to go right at it and it adds 7 yards. So, 163. Boom, hit it. Well, the problem is I've played a lot of this game and I've only hit one hole in one. And you have to set yourself up for success. You have to set yourself up for success. You have to plan accordingly, because the majority of the time, you're not going to hit a hole in one, unfortunately. But what you can do, you can set yourself up with a very easy birdie look and get yourself in a spot, because when you play on harder and harder courses, the greens are going to get diabolical and you want easy birdie looks. For instance, if I'm looking at this green right here, and if you are curious, this is just a par 3 course that I found. It's called Horseshoe Bend. You can come on here and test it. I don't know who made this. It's a great course. Find a par 3 course and practice approach shots. One of the best tips that I probably can give you if you are struggling with your approach shots. When you look at a green, you should always open it up. You should zoom into it and you should look at the green. Analyze the green. Where are the beads, the little white ticker marks? Where are they moving the slowest? Over here, this is a false front, not slow. Over here, not slow. Over here, not slow. Slight movement behind the flag, but there's not much movement in this little box right here. So what you want to do is you want to create a green within the green. You want to find, I'm imagining a little green right here that I want to land the ball on and give myself a good look at birdie if I can get the ball in this spot. I don't actually care about the flag. I don't care about the pin number, but I care about getting the ball onto this little mini green inside the bigger green, because that will give me the best putt. If I was putting from here, that's not very makeable. If I was putting from here, also not very makeable. But if I'm putting from right here, That's much more makeable. There's a lot less movement there, and it's a much more makeable putt. So that is something that you do always need to plan accordingly. Read the green before you hit to the green. Read the green before you run your calculations. Now that I know where I want to hit, there's a couple things that I need to factor in. So we're going to peel the onion back. So step 1, read the green. Step 2, run all of your calculations when it comes to wind and elevation. If you haven't seen those videos, they're already out there for you to watch. So I want to land the ball here at like 154. I actually don't care about 156 because I don't want to go long. I don't want to hit it past the flag. I actually want to be short and I want to be left of this flag. So 154 is actually the number that I'm looking for. Up 1 foot because divide by 4 for the 4 feet of elevation. So that would be 155. Into 5 miles an hour. It's not a direct wind, so what I normally do is when it gets to, I determine how non-direct it is, and then I minus it. So this isn't a direct, north, like a direct wind in my face. So instead of 5 miles an hour, I'll probably consider it like a 3 or 4 mile an hour wind. And then, so what that is, an extra 4 yards. So 159 is the number. But then one thing you do need to consider is firmness of greens, right? So the step 3, so once you did your elevation and your wind, you need firmness of greens. So I have fast and firm greens on here, so the ball is going to bounce and it's going to roll out. That is going to be drastically determined on the firmness of the green. The firmer the greens, the more the ball will roll out. The softer the greens, the more the ball will not roll out. Also, what club you are hitting. If I'm hitting a wedge, it comes in more like this. So the ball does not roll out very much, maybe a yard. If I'm hitting a 4-iron into a green, it's going to come like this. So it's going to bounce and then it's going to roll, like skipping a rock across the water, right? You throw the rock in, it goes punk. You skip the rock across, it keeps on running for a long time. Think of it like that. Are you skipping the ball to the green, or are you dropping it into the ocean? And then lastly, when it comes to that, you think about how does the wind affect it? Any wind in your face, if you've seen that video, it's going to make the ball stop quicker. It's not going to roll out as much. If you're hitting downwind, the ball is going to roll out more. So in this situation, I said 159 was the final calculations, but I want to account for some extra rollout. So I usually give it about, in this situation, 3 to 4 because the wind is going to help it not roll out as much. So in this situation, we actually are going to hit, 156. Now it just worked out that way, but doesn't always work out that way. So I'm gonna play a little bit to the right just because I know the wind is pushing it a little bit to the left, and I am on perfect swing, but that's because this is an educational tutorial video, not a video on how good am I at this game. And now I've landed right in the center of that little green that I wanted to. Now look at this putt. This putt is perfectly manageable for something that I'm trying to do. And now we're easy birdies. That's a much easier putt than something else. Something downhill, something cross, right? Now let's go to this one here. All right, so let's do it. We're going to just speed it up a little bit, and you're going to really get a rhythm here. If I land right here, no, bad spot. Back here, not much movement. Actually, not bad, but when you get closer to the hole, the beads start moving a little bit, right? So they're moving this way. You go over here, absolutely not do I want to putt there. Out back there, absolutely not do I want to putt back there. But if I go right here, you can see I would have, if I ever can get the marker there, you can see I'd have an uphill putt, slightly left of breaker, but an uphill putt. Two things you always want to account for. You want uphill putts, and you want as least break as possible. So I'm looking in this little zone right here. If I can get the ball somewhere in this little mini green, that would be great. Just pin high to the right. So now let's run our calculations. And we're hitting a wedge here, so I don't really have to account for too much rollout, which is fantastic. I can kind of go right at this one because I know it's not going to roll out as much. Up 1 foot of elevation, so we can account for that. We'll cross out the elevation because it'll probably bounce 1 additional yard. And we'll move it over 1 box, 2 boxes. See, the wind is changing a little bit on me right now. So it's slightly, we need to go just 1 additional yard because it is a slight hurt wind now that it's spinning its way towards us. And I am aiming a little bit right because I want to play for the crosswind. All right. Then we just hit our perfect swing. Draws up in the air. We're going to go right at this one. And we're in a good spot. Now, obviously, that was a little bit closer because the wind pulled it a little bit more than I expected. But because I played it out into that area, I was in a good spot. This is how we're trying to attack these things. Obviously, when you have a wedge in your hand, it's a lot easier. Let's zoom in here. This is a much tougher situation. There's not a lot of good looking putts here. But the first thing you can always do is, where is the uphill putt? If I'm looking for the uphill putt, you can see all these beads are moving here. So I do not want to be putting from here. These are downhill putts. Downhill, breaker, left to right, not easy. Not easy putts. But if I come over here and I spin this one around, and I say, hey, let's be pin high. This thing is jumping around on me here. Sorry about that. Pin high. That looks pretty makeable if you ask me. Right? Doesn't that look pretty makeable? That looks pretty makeable to me. So that's where I want to aim. So now if I come back in here, all right, now let's run our calculations. I want to be right over here. We got a wind in our face, down 2 feet. So 162 was a number. Down 2 feet. So we're at 160 into a 5-mile-an-hour wind, which is about 6. It's pretty directly in our face. So 160 goes into 166. Now, what type of shot am I hitting, right? Actually, I had to, because this is as far as my 9-iron goes, and this is as far as my 8-iron goes. So in order to play this shot, this would carry the flag, but I want it to be a little bit short so that way it runs up. So I'm just going to bring it back twice. You can do that either shot shaping, or you can do it just pulling it back and hitting a partial shot. All right. And then there's not much crosswind. So I accounted for some run out there, and it should pull it a little bit to the left. Little draw. Pulling it a little bit to the left as expected. It should bounce, roll out just a touch. Now I could have hit it a little bit closer, obviously. Ball drew a little bit more. I mean, it's golf. That's going to happen. But you know what? These mishits where the wind, I didn't calculate it perfectly because it's kind of swirling on me. This is a pretty makeable putt. Uphill, little breaker to the left. This is a much more makeable putt than something, downhill, big breaker. And you're not going to make them all. But you know what? I had a good, consistent look at it, and that's what it's all about. I had an uphill look at it so I can get aggressive with the putt, and that's what it's about. You go to this one. You can go this one here. Pretty simple. Right? They already created a little green for us, right? So this is the little green for us. I don't want to be anywhere down here. So I would aim, probably create another mini green somewhere like right in here. Run our calculations, which is up to, which is probably an extra 1. So 130 into probably 3 miles an hour just because it's a crosswind. So 133. Wind is going to hold it up. Slight overswing there. But I'm in a good spot, pin high. And this is a pretty makeable putt. That pretty much wraps up how to approach the greens. There is no exact science to it. There are a lot of variables you have to consider, but hopefully you learned a little bit of something about how you can plan accordingly in hopes to get yourself in a much better spot for a lot of birdie looks. Don't just hit it at whatever the whole distance is. Plan your shots accordingly, and that's how you're going to get better at the higher levels. See you in another. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe.